In today's video, we're going to be doing a small wheel conversion from 17-inch to 14-inch. Now, as you can see, I already did the swap. So if you're interested in how I did it and some other tasteful mods that we did to the bike, then stick around. So this box right here is the wheel swap kit. But what happened after this kind of sucked. Because my unboxing clips, well, they got corrupted and they were gone. I spent a whole day trying to recover the files, but yeah, nothing. But hey, at least I took some pics. Now Mick and Chris, who made this kit, seriously killed it. Everything was packed super clean, labeled properly, no guessing games, no, what the hell is this spacer for? Now these are the new 14-inch wheels, and what I'm doing here is throwing on the TPMS sensors because we fancy like that. I'll go more in detail about this later, but I need to put these in so I can take them to my guy and get the tires mounted. Now that the wheels are ready, let me show you what we're working with. It's an almost bone stock 2024 Honda CB300R, and by almost bone stock, it's because it came with an Acroprop exhaust, which honestly sold me on the bike. But we can't leave this bike looking like this. So I started cleaning up the bike with some basic mods, and while I do that, let me explain why I even did this swap in the first place, and why I chose this particular kit. Now most small wheel swaps out there uses Honda Grom parts, like the forks, brakes, and the 12-inch wheels. I thought initially this was a cool idea, but visually, I feel like the 12-inch wheels are just too small for the bike. Plus, to keep the swap budget-friendly, you'd be sourcing as many used parts as possible. And more importantly, you would lose your ABS and your speedometer, which is not ideal, not safe, and honestly, just not for me. But what won me over with this kit is that you get brand new 14-inch wheels, you keep the factory suspension and brakes, but the best part is, you also keep your ABS and speedometer, which is huge. Oh, and this little guy that I'm installing right here, oh, this is the Chiggy Smart Dash. We'll save the full review for later, but this is the device that links up to the TPMS sensor that I installed earlier in the video, but is loaded with a bunch of features like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, a dash cam, and probably a toaster function, to be honest. I don't know, it does a lot. Alright, let's get into the install. And we're starting with the front. Now I use a triple tree stand to lift the bike, but let me tell you right now, don't do that. You'll see why soon. But after breaking down the front end and getting the wheel off, you can see the side by side, stock versus new. And look how big of a difference 3 inches makes. Now the only thing we're reusing from the stock wheel is its rotor and washers. Everything else comes in the kit. Now with your new wheel, find the rotor adapter and start bolting it down with a little dab of red Loctite. And trust me, Loctite is your best friend for this build. Now this is where you stop the assembly. Don't pre-assemble everything off the bike. You won't have any clearance mounting it to the bike. But for demonstration purposes, let me show you the order. First, the rotor goes on, then the ABS tone ring. Then next, start collecting the new rotor bolts, original washers and spacers, and this bonus washer with tape. This extra washer mounts to the weird looking spacer that is called the bobbin. But to put it all together, you take the thinnest washer and you place it between the rotor and the new adapter, and everything else slots in and screws on from the front. As simple as that. Okay, moving back to the bike, this is the only modification in this kit. you gotta grind down the ABS sensor mount to give clearance for the new setup. But it's pretty simple. Just mark a reference point just above the crown and grind it flat. Once you're all done with that, I decided to hit with some black paint to clean it up, and at this point, you should route the ABS lines back. Next, axle spacers. They only go in one way, so can't really mess it up. Remember how I said not to use the triple tree stand? Well, this is why. I struggled longer than I like to admit, and that's because I couldn't spin the forks to move the caliper mounts out of the way. So I ended up balancing the bike with a jack under the engine, and yeah, it's a little spicy. But hey, it worked. That allowed me to rotate the forks so I can slide in the rotor and the tone ring and line everything up and install the new front axle. Which in the kit, you're provided 2 of them, so make sure you use the shorter of the 2 here. But once you install the new axle, you can then assemble the front just like I showed you off the bike. Super thin washer between the rotor and adapter, and then the rest of the bolts and washers in the front. But before tying everything up, fit the caliper over the rotor first. Anyways, put the fender back on, and there you go, the front end is done. Now moving to the rear, this is much simpler in my opinion. Start with your new wheel and grab your new rotor. Bolt that on. Next you find your modified tone ring, and you bolt that on too. And again, make sure you're using red Loctite in all these bolts. Next, you flip your wheel, and then you find your new dampers. To install them, you just place them in between each rib, like how it's shown here. And then you grab your new hub and fit this little spacer that comes with it, and together you gently wiggle them between the dampers. Once that's all nice and snug, you find your new sprocket spacer and then sprocket and bolt those all up together. But nonetheless, this is looking pretty good. Oh, and I almost forgot, pop these spacers into the wheel bearings on each side. Don't worry, you can't mess these up. The label is laser etched in there. Now, moving back to the bike, I couldn't find my chain remover tool, so I started grinding the pin to pop it out, but then I remember halfway through where I left it. Anyways, chains off, rears apart. It's time to grind down the rear mount for the ABS sensor. Same deal as the front, but this one just needs to be flattened out and flush with the bracket. And also, I hit it with some black paint to clean it up. Before you put the sensor on, there's a little spacer that goes in between the mount and the sensor, so make sure you put that on first and then bolt everything up. After that, you're left with another set of axle spacers, which are also labeled so you can't mess it up. And a moment of truth, sliding everything in, and it should fit like a glove. Now with the rear all put back together, it's time to wrap it all up with the new front sprocket, chain, and last but not least, a shoring kickstand. And there it is, a 14-inch small wheel swapped Honda CB300R with working ABS and a functional speedo. Let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, and turn on notifications because I'll be dropping a full review once I get some good miles on this setup. But nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.